Question for you. Do you like my hats? So, my name's Andy Warr, and I'm a computer scientist, but I spent the last 18 years of my career working in UX research. And I want to share with you a not so well-kept secret to the secret of my influence and impact that I've had. And that is, it's all about my ability to wear many hats. Now, today I'm going to share with you a few stories of wearing different hats, and here's what I hope you'll take away. Research is the foundation of innovation, but also an insight alone is not enough. And you can expand your influence by being more than just a researcher. But I'm also going to sacrifice a few sacred cows. There's nothing wrong with an N of 1 insight. And actionable recommendations alone are not enough. So for my first story, I'm going to take off my UXR hat. And I'm going to put on my developer hat. So one evening, this is back in 2010, my wife, or my ex-wife, called me over to show me something on her computer. She had so many tabs open. And she had so many tabs open, she couldn't find what she wanted to show me. She's clicking around, it's not this, it's not that. So I asked her, why do you have so many tabs on your computer open? And she said to me, in case I want to go back to anything. Now, keeping all of these tabs open in order to go back to something was impeding her ability to go back to something that she actually wanted to find. I believed it would be a better experience if she didn't have so many tabs open. When she wasn't looking, I closed tab. I did this a few times. I wanted to see if she would notice. She didn't, or at least she didn't say anything. And I would like to know, for the record, this is not the reason she is my ex. Now, closing the tabs on her computer was not scalable. Couldn't do it for her, and I couldn't do it for everyone who used the Chrome web browser. So I built an extension. And essentially what this extension did, it would identify tabs that were no longer being used, and then it would close that tab. It wouldn't close it completely. It would keep a reference to it, and it would allow those tabs to be browsed, searched, and reopened. I shared this extension with the Chrome team at Google, and it was a hit. We patented the technology. I worked with a developer by trade to create a production version of the tab, of the extension, and an engineering team at Google built the technology into the Chrome web browser and the Chrome OS operating system. They didn't close down the tab, though. They closed down the process running the tab. Now, my intention for this innovation was to create a better tab browsing or browsing experience. But the actual impact of this innovation was much greater. Because when you close down a process to a tab, you reduce the memory consumption, which increases the performance of the computer, making Chrome one of the fastest browsers on the market. And it's this algorithm that's running in people's computers, on a browser, on operating systems, used by over 1 billion people every day. This innovation came from a single observation and went beyond a problem, a how might we, a recommendation to creating a possible solution for reasons to believe, and a technology that exceeded even my expectations. Now, for my next story, I'm going to take off my developer hat. I'm going to put on my data hat. Instagram Stories was released in August 2016. And on release, it allowed you to upload a photo or a video that would be showed for up to 10 seconds. Now, verified accounts also had the ability to link to an external website. I was curious what websites these verified accounts were linking to and what opportunities this might identify for Instagram as a business. So I asked the data scientist working on Instagram stories if they had looked into this. They hadn't, and it wasn't a priority for them to do. I'm sure many of us have had such requests of designers, developers, data scientists. So I asked, do you mind if I take a look? And could you let me know what table the data lives in? So my analysis looked at the domain of the websites that verified accounts were posting to, as well as the links that were being consumed. I posted my analysis, which at the time became the most viewed and most liked across all of our insights channels at Facebook, now known as Meta, and Instagram. The analysis was especially valuable to our partnerships team, who now had insight in terms of who to prioritize with strategic partners. But there was one domain that stood out about any other. Does anyone want to shout out what they think that domain was? No. YouTube. My question now was, what were these verified accounts linking to on YouTube? How could I even do this? It's not like I could visit every YouTube link that was being linked to on Instagram. And how could I do this at scale? So the first thing that I did was I analyzed the structure of these YouTube links. And based on this analysis, and perhaps not surprisingly, verified accounts were linking to YouTube videos. My question now was, what were the characteristics of these YouTube videos that they were posting to or linking to? And once again, how could I do this at scale? So I used what is known as a headless browser, which essentially is a web browser that doesn't have a graphical user interface and allows you to automate web interactions. So using this headless browser and a technique known as web scraping, I was able to collect and analyze the characteristics of YouTube videos linked to on Instagram stories, including the length of the video, the date that it was posted, and the genre, etc. Now, the key insight from this analysis was that verified accounts were promoting long-form video on YouTube through Instagram stories, sort of like a trailer. But what if Instagram could be the destination for that long-form video? This was the opportunity. This research became the most liked and most viewed research at Facebook and Instagram, and was the precursor to long-form videos and Instagram stories and Instagram TV. As researchers, we have an insatiable curiosity, and we know the benefits of triangulating data. Being able to switch between a qual and quant hat is one of the most powerful tools in our toolkit. Okay, for my last story, I'm going to put back on my UXR hat. Now, just over 4 years ago, you probably remember that we're at the start of lockdown. And at the time, I was working at Uber. The Uber Eats team were thinking about how they could better support restaurants during this challenging time. And I wanted to understand how the lockdown had impacted businesses, not just restaurants. So I pulled a random list of 50 restaurants who used Uber Eats in the San Francisco area. And over the course of 2 days, I visited every restaurant and all of the businesses on the same block as that restaurant. And when I got to each of these businesses, I would record the name of the business, the type of business, whether they were open or not, if they had adjusted their hours, and if they were offering delivery, pickup, or some other form of service during this challenging time. I also spoke with, socially distanced, employees and business owners to understand how they were adapting to the lockdown. The research was titled Business Not as Usual. Now, one of the insights from this research were that businesses were directing customers to their social channels. This could be a poster that was stuck up in a window, And they were using this to communicate with them, if they were even communicating with them at all. So I identified an opportunity for food delivery apps to be the platform that restaurants use to communicate with their customers. And this is something that the team developed and tested after I left the company. Researchers are creative, we are entrepreneurial, and research does not have to be limited to our traditional methods of an in-depth interview or a usability study. And we should not have to ask permission for the types of research that we do. So what does this mean for the leaders in this room? Hire researchers who have the ability to wear many hats, and empower those researchers to wear many hats, giving them the permission, the resources, the time and space to do. But also to the leaders who are here, especially senior leaders, we do not represent any given function. We represent all of the people who are wearing these hats. And this means that we are not just researchers or research leaders. Wearing many hats can expand your impact and influence, and I look forward to hearing about all of the hats that you wear during our time together. Thank you.